Hi everyone, welcome to Simple Concepts. I'm your educator Niyati Pearl. Guys, in this particular lecture series, we had seen about mobilization of resources, and under which we had covered banking. Then we had also discussed about capital finances. In this particular video, we will be learning about the government finances. सो ब्रीफली देखते हैं इस पर्टिकुलर वीडियो में हम कौन कौन से टॉपिक कवर करने वाले हैं. सो इन दिस पर्टिकुलर सीरीज वी विल बी लर्निंग अबाउट द फाइनेंस मिनिस्ट्री, ब्रीफली हम जानेंगे. देन वी विल बी लर्निंग अबाउट एक्सपेंडिचर, दैट इज प्लान एंड नॉन प्लान. देन वी विल बी लुकिंग अंडर द इनडायरेक्ट टैक्सेस, हम अच्छे से समझेंगे, गुड्स एंड सर्विस टैक्सेस. देन विल बी ऑल्सो लर्निंग अबाउट रेसिप्रोकेटिव टैक्सेशन. विल बी लर्निंग अबाउट टैक्स एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन रिफॉर्म्स एंड कमीशंस एंड सो. So before we actually begin with this particular lecture, let me tell you all, आपको अगर UPSC CSC 2021 अगर आपको क्रैक करनी है, then you have a very golden opportunity over here because Unacademy brings to you 3 mega batches for complete preparation which has already been started from 15th of June 2020. यहाँ पे अगर आप Unacademy का plus subscription लेते हो, then let's see what are the benefits that you can get. There is a full syllabus coverage which you will be getting. There is also prelims and mains test series which will be there along with the analysis. Also there will be dedicated doubt clearing sessions along with the interview preparation. And if you take subscription directly for 24 months, then here आपको benefit मिलेगा. मतलब instead of taking for one month या फिर 2 months of subscription, आपको यहाँ पे ये benefit मिलेगी because you know 1 और 2 month preparation उतना ज़्यादा serious preparation नहीं हो पाता आपका. And अगर आप ये भी plan करते हो कि 24 months का अगर आप preparation ले रहे हो, then here is the cost which you will have to pay. But again if you take अगर आप 2 साल का अगर आप subscription directly लेते हो, then here is a benefit for you कि आप बहुत ज़्यादा कम पे करेंगे. मतलब अगर आप 2 साल का डायरेक्ट सब्सक्रिप्शन लेते हो तो अगर आप 2 साल का सब्सक्रिप्शन लेते हो देन यू विल जस्ट हैव टू पे 57,600. बट एट द सेम टाइम अगर आप बस 1 साल का सब्सक्रिप्शन लेते हो देन यू विल हैव टू पे ऑल एंड अराउंड आपका 80,000 कॉस्ट आ जाएगा. बट एट द सेम टाइम गाइज अगर आप हमारा कोड यूज़ करते हो वहाँ यहाँ पे जो आप अपने स्क्रीन पे देख पा रहे हो UPSCYT, अगर आप ये कोड यूज़ करते हो देन स्ट्रेट अवे आपको 10% यहाँ पे डिस्काउंट मिलेगा. एंड द टोटल कॉस्ट विच यू विल पे ओवर हियर इज 57,600. ऑल्सो गाइज आपको यहाँ पे एक बहुत ही बड़ी गोल्डन अपॉर्चुनिटी अनदर अनअकैडमी प्लस आपको दे रही है. एंड दैट इज यहाँ पे अनअकैडमी का UPSC चैंपियनशिप चल रहा है वेर इन देयर आर ऑल इंडिया फ्री मॉक टेस्ट विच आर देयर फॉर UPSC CSC प्रीलिम्स 2020. If you can enroll now then it will be for the free of cost because the mentors which you are getting are very expert in this UPSC field. For example, Rakesh Verma, Mrunal Patel and Atish Mathur. So having said that, let's start with our today's video. Also guys, अगर आपको जो भी यहाँ पे हम टॉपिक्स डिस्कस करते हैं अगर उनके आपको नोट्स चाहिए हो then you can just go to your Telegram account. वहाँ पे आप पहले तो आप डिस्क्रिप्शन में जाइए, वहाँ पे आपको डिस्क्रिप्शन में लिंक मिलेगा हमारे टेलीग्राम ग्रुप का जहाँ पे हम बहुत सारे क्विजेस डिस्कस करते हैं. आपको जो भी यहाँ पे हम टॉपिक्स डिस्कस कर रहे हैं उनके नोट्स आपको मिलेंगे इन द फॉर्म ऑफ PDF. एंड इन एनी केस इफ़ यू आर अनेबल टू फाइंड दैट ग्रुप देन यू कैन जस्ट गो टू योर टेलीग्राम अकाउंट. वहाँ पे जाके अगर आप सर्च बार में सिंपल कॉन्सेप्ट्स UPSC के नाम पे अगर आप ग्रुप सर्च करते हो देन यू विल बी एबल टू फाइंड आवर ग्रुप. सो हैविंग सेड दैट गाइज लेट्स स्टार्ट विथ आवर टुडेज डिस्कशन. सो लेट्स स्टार्ट विथ द गवर्नमेंट फाइनेंसेस. So Government of India retains a big role in economy. In aftermath of LPG reforms, it has pulled back substantially from private sector. Yet its presence is unquestionable and desirable in social sector. So defense and security, provision of public goods and services, etc. It has huge bureaucracy which consumes enormous national resources. Further in line in modern concept of market socialism, government intervenes in case of market failures for which it needs to provide services or goods significantly below cost. It affects the government expenditure generally surpasses its revenue which results into revenue or fiscal deficit. In the first place, major sources of government revenue is from taxation, but there are non-taxation resources too. At last, government resorts to deficit financing to fulfill its commitment. So all this happens under aegis of the finance ministry. Let us now discuss briefly about the finance ministry. कौन सी चीज़ें होती है finance ministry में. Let us discuss all those things in detail. So basically this ministry is the biggest subdivision of Government of India and has under it largest number of departments. It is also one ministry of a state. So departments under this particular ministry are Economic Affairs, Expenditure, Revenue, Financial Services, Disinvestment, etc. So the ministry eclipses the whole economic and financial system. All regulatory bodies and attached offices relating to economics and the finances come under it. Let us now discuss the expenditure plan, and the expenditure underneath will be discussing the plan and the non-plans. So speaking about the plan expenditure, as the name suggests, the plan expenditure is directed towards the building productive social and physical assets, or we can say achieving the goals of development. Expenditure on all the centrally sponsored schemes like NREGA or ICDS, etc. So these are parts of the plan expenditure. This till now remained in the hands of Planning Commission. Now with the abolition of PC, future development are to be seen. Gross budgetary outlay for plans, central plan plus central assistance to the state and the UTs. Speaking about the non-plan expenditure, the non-plan revenue expenditure is incurred in interest payment, subsidies mainly on food and fertilizers, then wages and the salary payments to government employees, grants to the states and union territories governments, pensions, policies, economic services in various sectors, other general services such as tax collection, social services and grants for foreign governments. It also includes defense, loans to public entrepreneurs, loans to states, union territories and foreign governments. So speaking about the Rangarajan committee, in 2010, this committee recommended that this distinction should be done away with. Reason was that this distinction resulted in over focus on the plan expenditure and it neglected the non-plan expenditure. It projected non-plan expenditure as a waste of expenditure, and various welfare lobbies kept pressurizing the government to increase the proportion of plan expenditure at the cost of non-plans. So this resulted in substandard quality and underfinancing of basic responsibilities of government which rely on non-plan expenditure. So it is felt in absence of this distinction, the non-plan expenditure can outpass the plan expenditure, and the major safety non-schemes will be suffering a setback. So apart from this expenditure, it also classified into capital and revenue expenditure. The capital expenditure involves creation of durable capital asset, and later is consumption of expenditure with non-durable assets created. Now let us speak about the revenue, that is the tax and the non-tax revenue. So as I have already said, expenditure of government is dominantly financed by the tax revenue. So speaking about the tax revenue, first comes over here is the direct taxes. So these involves taxes such as income tax, wealth tax, corporate tax. Peculiar feature of direct tax is that person who is charged to tax himself is liable to pay tax. Now speaking about the indirect taxes, in this case tax is generally transactions, commodities, etc. So in case of persons who pays tax can claim the tax paid from customers. So this way whole burden is shifted on the ultimate consumer. Now speaking about the value added tax, let us take a typical value chain of manufacturer, the wholesale retailer, consumer. And here the value addition in sale price is at 3 stages, vis-a-vis when the goods move from manufacturer, wholesaler and retailer to finally the consumer. Let's respectively respective sale prices be 100, 120 and 150. So if indirect tax, say sales tax is 10%, it will be collected at 3 stages on same product. So new prices will be manufactured, that is 100 plus 10%, which equals to 110. Now wholesaler, which equals to 110 plus 10% of tax, which equals to 121 plus rupees 20 as profit, which equals as 141. Now when it comes to retailer, it is 141 plus 10% of tax, which comes to 155 plus 30 rupees as profit, which equals to 185. This way, with simple flat sales tax rate, consumer end up paying substantially high prices. He also pays tax on tax, which is called cascading effect. Here we have to note that rupees 141, at which 10% of tax was claimed by the retailer, it already includes rupees 21 of tax. Government got tax of 10 plus 11 plus 14.1, which equals to 35.1 for sale of rupees 185, which is significantly higher than 10%. Now to remove this distortion and cascading effect, value added tax was introduced. In this case, tax was charged only on value addition at every stage. So at every stage, 10% of tax will be paid by the manufacturer and goods will be invoiced at 110. Now wholesaler will sell at rupees 100, that is actual cost, plus rupees 20, that is profit. So at the rate of 120 plus rupees 10, that is the VAT tax. Now that is the VAT, not tax, so VAT. So he will collect rupees 20 from retailer, and while paying this 12 to the government, he will deduct rupees 10 he already paid to the manufacturer as a VAT. Now this is called input credit. This was the product this was that product which reached to the customer as 100 plus 20 plus 30, which equals to 150 plus 10% of tax, that is rupees 165, and customer pays rupees 150 to the retailer and rupees 15 with the 10% of tax to the government through the retailer. Now VAT, though it removed cascading effects of sales tax, yet there is a plethora of other indirect taxes such as service tax, excise duty, custom duty, luxury tax, etc., which add up to the cost because of their cascading effect. Okay. Now further, the VAT which is there, it is chargeable in different states at different rates. In case of goods sold from one state to another, CST is charged for which input credit is not allowed. All this create impediments in the intercourse of national markets and trades, which is much desirable for competitive markets, industry and low prices. Speaking about the taxation subjects, they are divided between the center and the states as per the list in the schedule 7 under article 246. For example, it gives excise, custom, service tax to center and sales tax, that is VAT, to the state. This multiplicity of taxes has unfavorable impact on the GDP as to avoid the complexities. Now people prefer to conceal their transactions. It is estimated that GST will push the growth rate by 1 to 1.5%. So ये तब के implications थे that this GST will obviously make India performing poorly at indexes like ease of doing business. So this is because all these taxes have separate compliance provisions and the reporting mechanism. So this increases the compliance cost and the time significantly. More requirement for compliance naturally create more avenues for corruption and rent seeking. Now speaking about the goods and services tax, one of the biggest taxation reforms in India, that was the goods and services tax. It is all set and it has been set to integrate state economies and boost overall growth, as it was said then. So GST, they were saying that GST will create a single unified Indian market to make economy stronger. The then Finance Minister Pranav Mukherjee, while presenting the budget of July 6, 2009, had said that GST would come into effect from April 2010. So the basic principle governing behind the GST was to have single taxation system for goods and services across the country. As I have already said, the then current economy had various taxes on the goods and services such as VAT, service tax, excise, entertainment tax, luxury tax, etc. Now when this new proposal came of GST, they were having just two. We just had to pay two taxes on goods and services, and they were at the state level and at the central level. At the state level it was called as SGST, and at the central level it is called as the CGST. So on unified rate which was expecting that will be arriving, for example 10+6, which will comprise of both central and the state GST, and the collection will go respect to the respective authority, that is to the center or the state. So the Union Finance Minister introduced the said bill in the Lok Sabha in the December 2014, and the proposed amendments in the constitution had conferred powers to both the parliament and the state legislature to make laws for levying GST on the supply goods and services in the same transaction. Now let us see what were the effects of the GST which came on our country. Now these were all of the things which they were saying, that GST will simplify and harmonize the indirect tax regime in India, in the entire Indian economy. ये सब चीज़ें करेंगे. Then GST will broaden the state the tax base. So it is a feature of good taxation regime, and that while keeping the tax rates low, they should attempt to include as much as people as possible under the tax net. So third was the result in better tax compliance due to the robust of IT infrastructure. So due to the seamless transfer of input tax credit from one state to another in the chain of value addition, there is an inbuilt mechanism in design of GST that would incentivize tax compliance by traders. It is thus expected that introduction of the GST will foster a common and seamless Indian market, and it will contribute significantly to the growth of the economy. So ये सारी चीज़ें expect की गई थी GST से. In our next video we will be discussing क्या सच में ये सारी चीज़ें हुई थी या नहीं, या फिर हो रही हैं या नहीं, and how it will impact our economy, कितना ज़्यादा impact at what level किया है, etc. So we'll be discussing all those things in our next video. So fourth one was after the introduction of GST, they were expecting that it will reduce the cost of collection of the government. So at that time the government had huge bureaucracy collecting different taxes. Integration will naturally result into downsizing of the bureaucracy and hence reduction of collection of cost. ये सारी चीज़ें सोची गई थी. So amusingly, in case of wealth tax, that is direct tax charged over the wealth over rupees 30 lakhs, collection is so low that cost of collection is more than the tax collected. So speaking about the impact of inflation, so in the long term it was expected that GST will undoubtedly result in easing of inflation. However, as initially rates of integrated GST are expected to be kept as high as 16% or more, they were expecting this. It is well above the current service tax, and excise or the VAT rates. So in case of services, it was expecting that it will increase the prices directly. In case of other goods, inflation depends upon their present component of taxation vis-a-vis the excise, VAT, custom, etc. For example, some goods which are currently exempted from excise but are chargeable to VAT will now bear the burden of excise in form of increased rates, that is approximately 16% of the GST. So so here are few of the salient features of the amendment bill. So a new article 246A was proposed, which was conferring simultaneous power to union and the state legislature to legislate on GST. A new article which was proposed, that is article 279A, for creation of Goods and Service Taxes Council, which will be a joint forum to the center and the states. The council was expected to function under the chairmanship of Union Finance Minister, and it was supposed to have minister charged to finance, so ministers in charge of finance, taxation, or the ministers nominated by each of the states and UTs with the legislature as member. So the council will make recommendations to the union and the states on important issues like tax rate, exemptions, threshold limits, dispute resolution modalities, etc. So let us now see about the proposed GST. Let us discuss that in detail. कौन सी चीज़ें propose की गई थी in that GST model. So उस टाइम पे जो GST मॉडल जो प्रपोज हुआ था, it was designed to keep in mind the federal structure enreached in the constitution, and it would have the following important features. ये सारी features उनमें हो या फिर उनमें होनी चाहिए, ऐसा एक GST मॉडल प्रपोज किया था. So central tax like central excise duty, additional excise duties, service tax, additional customs duty, that is the CVD, and special additional duty for customs, that is the SAD, etc., will be subsumed in GST. Here we have to note that the basic custom duty was not included. So at the state level, taxes like VAT, sales tax, central sales tax, entertainment tax, octroi and entry tax, purchase tax, and luxury tax, etc., would be subsumed in the GST. So all the goods and services except the alcoholic liquor for human consumption and the petroleum and petroleum products would be brought under this purview of GST. Both the center and the states will simultaneously levy the GST across the value chain. Center would levy and collect central goods and service tax, that is CGST, and the states would levy and collect the state goods and services tax, that is the SGST, on the transaction within the states. In case of interstate trade, the center would levy and collect the integrated goods and service tax, that is the IGST, on all the interstate supply of goods and services. This will seamless flow of input tax credit from one state to another. Proceeds of IGST will be apportioned among the other states. GST is the designation on base tax. All the SGST on final product will ordinarily accrue to the consuming states. It means that as the goods will move from the value chain from producer to consumer, the whole GST burden price will be recovered from the consumer, as I had explained in the example of VAT tax, जो मैंने शुरुआती initially explain किया था initial slides में. So GST rates will be uniform across the country. However, to give some fiscal autonomy to the states and the center, there was a provision which narrowed the tax band over the above floor rates of CGST and the SGST. It is proposed to levy a non-vatable additional tax of not more than 1% of supply goods in the course of the interstate trade or commerce. This tax will be for a period of not exceeding than 2 years, ऐसा उस टाइम पे डिसाइड किया गया था, और फर्दर सच पीरियड एज रिकमेंडेड बाय द GST काउंसिल. वहाँ पे GST काउंसिल भी एस्टैब्लिश किया गया था, एंड फर्दर डिस्कशन जो भी डिसीजंस लेंगे वो विद अकॉर्डिंग टू द GST काउंसिल से ही लिए जाएंगे, ऐसा डिसाइड हुआ था. सो दिस एडिशनल टैक्स ऑन सप्लाई ऑफ गुड्स शैल बी असाइन्ड टू द स्टेट्स फ्रॉम वेयर सच सप्लाईज ओरिजिनेट. Because the GST is designated tax, it is destination based tax, the tax will accrue to state in which the goods are ultimately sold. So to compensate state from which goods originate, this vatable tax is proposed. Finance Minister was expecting that if they are able to push GST through the state legislature smoothly, then they can roll out GST in 2006. As these thinkers with federal fiscalism of the nation and require amendments in the Schedule 7, and it required amendment in the Schedule 7 and so many other federal articles like Article 246A to 279A, it was supposed to be passed by at least half of the state legislature along with both the houses of parliamentary with a special majority. So it was seen that whether it was supposed to be seen at that time whether the then government was able to do all these things or not. Guys, that's all for this particular class. हमारे आगे आने वाले वीडियो में जिसका पार्ट 2 होगा, हम डिस्कस करेंगे अबाउट द टैक्स रिफॉर्म्स. विल बी डिस्कसिंग अबाउट द मिनिमम ऑल्टरनेट टैक्स. तो पिछले ये सारी चीज़ें जो मैंने आपको बताई हैं, इट इज़ काइंड ऑफ अ हिस्ट्री जो आपको फॉर्डर मटेरियल, एज अ फॉर्डर मटेरियल आप यूज़ कर सकते हो वाइल यू से सपोज इफ़ यू आर राइटिंग योर एसे, या फिर अगर आप अपने GS3 पेपर के कुछ आंसर्स लिख रहे हो तो एज अ फॉर्डर मटेरियल ये सारी चीज़ें आप डिस्कस कर सकते हो, आप लिख सकते हो आपके पेपर में। सो आगे आने वाला जो इसका पार्ट 2 इसका वीडियो है इस पर्टिकुलर सेशन का, वो बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज विल बी लर्निंग अबाउट दी tax reforms which came after that. We'll be learning about the minimum alternate tax, we'll be learning about the retrospective taxation, general anti-avoidance rules, tax administration reforms that is TARC या फिर tax expenditure, tax foregone या फिर tax subsidies etc. या फिर we'll be also discussing about the non-tax revenue, budgetary deficits etc. along with the fiscal disciplines and FRBM Act, ऑल्सो फिजिकल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी एंड बजट मैनेजमेंट एक्ट। तो ये सारी चीज़ें हम हमारे पार्ट 2 में डिस्कस करेंगे गाइज। अगर आपको ये वीडियो अच्छा लगा देन डू हिट द लाइक बटन। अगर आप हमारे प्लेटफॉर्म पे नए हो देन डोंट गो विदाउट सब्सक्राइबिंग टू आवर चैनल। वहाँ पे नोटिफिकेशन बेल आइकन आएगा, उसको भी प्रेस कीजिएगा सो दैट यू कैन गेट नोटिफाइड एवरी टाइम वी पुट एनी वीडियो ऑन आवर यूट्यूब चैनल। गाइज आपको आपका UPSC CAC का प्रिपरेशन इंश्योर करना है और आपका सिलेक्शन अगर आपको इंश्योर करना है देन डू मेक श्योर कि आप अनअकैडमी का प्लस सब्सक्रिप्शन लीजिएगा। एंड ऑल्सो आपको ये सारे वीडियोज़ के नोट्स मिल जाएंगे ऑन आवर टेलीग्राम group. The link of the group is given in the description below. So do join the group guys and take care of your health. See ya.